So I want to talk about communication for just a few moments. When it comes to leadership, this is one of the greatest skills we have. And by the way, you're writing down, Jonathan just said, communication, greatest skill that you need as a leader. Yeah, heard it. How many morale surveys come out every 6 months that say the same thing about communication? Communication fails, communication fails, communication fails. It's like gridlock on the freeway. Everybody complains about it, but nobody does anything to fix it. So what can we do to fix it? Probably understand it better. That's what I'm thinking. And one of the things we need to do is avoid the temptation to think there's a perfect formula. I was in an airport the other day, Frankfurt Airport. I go in there to the English-speaking section. I go and spend a little time in the German-speaking section. It makes me look intellectual, even though I don't understand anything in German. And then I say, okay, and I move over to the English. And then they've got 101 ways to be the perfect communicator. How to do this perfectly. You know what? Communication is not something you can get perfect. It's different everywhere, and it's messy, it's untidy. And the reason for that is, when we communicate, we actually rely on other people's memories to make sense of what we do. You're thinking, what does that really mean? Everybody has a different idea of what that word means. Every time I tell a story, somebody has a different idea of what that story is. Don't believe me? Let me ask you to do a trick for me. Can I ask you real quick, if you've got a pen, I'm going to ask you to write down on a piece of paper. This is not school, so you can't write on the table. Write down on a piece of paper the first thing that comes into your mind when I say this word. So you ready for it? What's the first thing that comes into your mind when I say the word credit card? Write it down. Don't tell anybody next to you, because if you do, it'll be easy to cheat. And we don't want to cheat on a morning like this. Okay, so as I think about that, I want to ask you, what's the first thing that came into your mind when you heard the word credit card? Who wants to share it? Nobody wants to share it. Yeah. What's the first thing that came to your mind?
Debt.
Debt. Okay. Who had debt? Anybody else have debt? Surprise, surprise.
Money.
Money. Okay. Any others? Who else had other things? Yeah. What did you have?
Shop.
Sorry, one more time.
Shop.
Shopping. Yeah. What have we got here? So what came into your mind?
Spend.
Spend. Do you know what comes into my mind when I hear the word credit card? Miles. I spend my life trying to scam United Airlines. I buy everything on my United Visa card, and then we go and pay them back at the end of the month. And it's kind of like saying, sorry, you didn't make any money out of me, but I got some free miles. Here's what's interesting about that. Some people think credit card is bad. Some people think credit cards are good. Some people think credit cards are just money and neutral. So if we've got 3 or 4 different ideas of what a credit card means, and we've got 5 words in a sentence, we've now gone from 3 or 4 different interpretations to what? 15 to 20 different interpretations. How can we ever expect our communication to be right? So when it comes to being a perfect communicator as a leader, our job is to understand not what we say is important, but what is understood. And the definition that I use for communication is a process of creating shared understanding. It's not about what I say. Guess what? Every person is going to leave here saying I said something different. I'm going to listen to see what they say. It's kind of fun. But that's because you're interpreting it through your framework. We've got people from India, from China, from the United Arab Emirates, who are going to be drawing on their experiences to make sense of what I say. How can I predict in any way possible what's going to happen? So this is where it becomes really, really messy. And communication shares 4 letters with 4 other words, a bunch of other words too: common, community, and communication. So being a good communicator is not about getting your message across. That's the industrial mindset. Being a good communicator is about finding out what people understand. And that comes through listening. In fact, listening more than actually speaking. There's that old saying, we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen twice as much as we speak. And I kind of like that too. But that's what communication is all about. So in other words, when it comes to communicating, when we're leading a team, it's about not saying, have I told them yet? But do they understand? Anyone been to those meetings?